Hi, everyone. This is Ellen Marie Francisco, and I want to introduce Deborah Boileau today. She does quantum coding. It's pretty fascinating. I'm going to let her talk about it, and then I'm going to ask some questions.
Yeah, quantum coding, it's when we can go within and start taking kind of ownership of how we work with divine energies and source intelligent within. And when I do it, I feel I'm in this beautiful holographic space. It's in our auric field. And my hands, when I'm in that zone, the divine just flows through me, and all of a sudden my hands, and this happened kind of organically a few years ago, where my hands just popped up in a meditation, and then they were just tapping all around me like I was it was like a virtual computer, really. But then I realized, oh, it's pulsing through me. It's requiring me to breathe. I had to shift. I had to let go. I had to release. I had to, it was hot and cold, and so it was beyond just the light codes. It was a participatory thing. That's quantum coding and a bit of an overview, and it bypasses the intellect. So your mind doesn't get caught up in the stories. I think that's where we're all going. We're all learning to work within the heart.
And how do you know what you're coding? How do you know what needs to be coded?
It's kind of like when you sit in a meditation or you get your divine guidance, right? And you get it in a different way than I get it, right? But it's always an intention-driven thing. When you sit in front of somebody and we intend to connect, or we have questions maybe for the other side, and it starts coming through, it's because you've intended to connect with that person. Well, when I do it in a quantum space, it's the same thing, but the intention is that whatever's in the highest of the highest of the highest, I know in my team, it's that family of light. There's a lot of language around angels, archangels, the ascended masters, and your galactic family, the God squad. It doesn't really matter what language you use, right? You have to kind of hand it over once you set your intention. And it could be, if somebody really has struggles going on in their life, or let's say they want healing, or what we have to do is then we have to sit and surrender it, because you want to hold that 0 point space where you're not attached to any outcome. If you're on a timeline of observing something that's not working for you, you have to shift off that timeline, and you're not going to do it by sitting there trying to fix it, you know what I mean? Because there's the resistance piece. So what you have to do is we go back into our 0 point, our center, and that's how we can literally, we're shifting timelines. We're going to try to step into that higher space where that thing automatically has resolved itself, or the light has come through, or the energy has transmuted it, and our teams know the appropriate way to transmute it at that time. Sometimes it's cord cutting, sometimes it's the violet flame of transmutation, sometimes it's just sonic pulses and blue lights coming through us, and it's going to look different every time, and each person is going to have their own experience of the energy. But it's always intention driven, right? That's the thing. Nothing can be done to anybody without their permission. It's a co-creation. I can connect with somebody else's hologram, and I can do all the codes, and I'm flying around and doing the work, and I can have a kind of a sense of what's going through, but it's more, what are they available for? Because you can only meet people where they're at. If someone is really available for a divine, they're going, oh great, this is the miracle I've been asking for, and they're available for that, instead of getting in their mind going, yeah, that's a bunch of quantum programming, yeah, right, what is that, then they're not going to be available for it either. So it's kind of, it's still on them. There's still where's their resistance, and we have to get through that. And the language piece is a really good one. That's where balancing our masculine and our feminine, and the masculine piece is that scientific, the more intellectual side that's bringing assisting the feminine, which is all the non-physical.
Was there any precursor to this happening to you? Like, were you doing any kind of healing work or anything like that before you started doing this?
Yeah, it's funny because I wouldn't have gone on a spiritual path had my daughter not passed away. So she got quite sick, and it happened really fast. She had a mole, and it was a melanoma, and then it quickly went inside, and she suddenly had tumors throughout her body. And doctors gave a pretty quick diagnosis of terminal. And so the only thing, as a mother, you're going to go, okay, well, what can I do? And so I went down this rabbit hole. I was looking for that spontaneous remission, the miracles, right? And funny, because I grew up in a bit of a Christian household, but then I went full on atheist. And I realized that my pendulum had to swing out of the old box, because the old religious systems had limitations. There was a power over other structures still. So I had to swing way into the masculine, let go of this. And then I went and trying to bring in a miracle for Janelle, it brought me back to a higher understanding of both of them. There's an expression, the further you go into science, is the closer you get to God, kind of thing. So that's what happened to me. So I went on this path for Janelle, And like I wouldn't have done it. I was really happy in my life. But right before she passed, about 2 weeks before she passed, I did a meditation with a friend, and she introduced me to quantum meditating, where you were starting to work within your nested energetics, your inner child and your inner adolescent, and then we started nesting. And so that was my early framework. And then after Janelle passed, a couple of her friends wanted to learn that meditation. And so I was in this kind of a weird, foggy, lost without her. I shouldn't say lost, but it was like I knew something needed to happen around the meditation. So we ended up doing these groups, and then we ended up with 3 groups and a wait list. And then it kind of just expanded. It was great for me because I was being fast tracked within those meditation groups. I didn't know it at the time. I would show up, and there's people like you in the group that had these magical experiences. And I always joke that they were at the front of the bus and I was riding in the back, and I had no windows. I couldn't see. But the interesting thing, it made me dial in my inner feelings. Every little tingle, every little twitch, I dialed that in. I made that into something. I went, okay, well, this is what I felt, and I made it. So what I did is I cognized that as being real. So I allowed that to be more and more real. And so now it's so real, it's just coming through me. And it's just, I sit back and the divine just flows because I allowed that to happen. That's how your clairsenses develop. So that's what happened. And then of course, once I would say the genie's out of the bottle, it's not going back in.
We met when I was doing a psychic fair, and you sat with me and we did a mediumship, and your daughter came in. I don't remember everything, but I do remember very clearly that she was adamant that you were going to work in this field, that you were going to do some phenomenal healing work, and that she would be sending you the information from the higher chakras. I remember feeling and hearing her say that she needed to be on the other side so that you could access some of the higher dimensions without having to reach too far, that she would just basically be waiting for you. You could tune into her, and then you could almost do that work together. Do you remember that though? Do you remember that?
I do remember that. It's so funny. Codes are wanting to come through me right now as we're talking. There's something that wants to come through there. Even, you might even feel it. But yeah, definitely. And it's so funny because before I was doing the coding, I connected with this couple, and they also told me about Janelle. And you're the only 2 that I've gotten messages where I've connected with her through a mediumship, right? But they weren't doing it as a mediumship. They were actually multidimensional meditators, and they were coaches. And so they were helping me work my field, because that is my specialty, as I work this quantum space. I always say it's like multidimensional space planning. Another friend calls me the architect. It is the framework. That's how we hold the light. Right? And the husband said something about Janelle was passing me a baton. He called it a stick, and his wife corrected him and said, honey, it's a baton. And that's how Janelle was a great athlete. And that's how she wanted to let me know, this is my leg of the journey, right? This is my part. And you're right. Like, she is now working with me on that other side.
You can feel her, right? And you get the information from her.
I do. Well, and it's interesting. Not like you do. It's kind of funny because I was meant to let go of her piece in it anymore. That's why I kept doing it. Because I thought I was sitting in meditation honoring her, because she got me on this journey. I'm going to keep honoring her. And she had said, Mom, it's time for you to honor yourself. This is for you. This is for you, Mom. And this is kind of like, she's working with me, but it's no longer about her anymore. And I get that, when we're ready to hear it, we're going to hear it. I always say that I've been spoon-fed my whole journey. I've had the perfect people show up at the perfect time. It's been quite beautiful. And everything you said, was such a beautiful validation, yeah.
And you were also doing, if I remember correctly, you were going to land masses and holding space on land masses, right? Before any of this even tuned into.
Yeah.
And what was that like?
Well, it's kind of like you expand your grid in your meditations, and I would know I was this big expanded space. I could kind of feel it. That's my early stuff. I had inklings of things that I was doing, right? Now, and the way the physics works is everything, the whole is contained in the one. It's all nested, right? It's all quantum entangled, right? So that small version of me was getting a sense that I was holding bigger things, but it wasn't fully coming through. But I allowed it to be real. And I think that's a big piece, is what are we allowing? I knew enough not to say, no, that's not how this works. Or, Deborah, come on, what do you think? Like, don't get too big for your britches, girl. That kind of thing. I knew enough to not allow myself to go into that, because that was a limitation. I understood that. So I wasn't going to project small on myself. What ended up happening is it became a default setting. I'm not looking for validation, but it's beautiful universal feedback when it happens. Now, when I code and I'm surrendered, my hands are flying around, please, I'm in full on trust. And I think that's the piece I love. I can just surrender, and I hand over control.
How did you know to call it coding? Like, was that something that the spirits gave you, or was that something you just knew?
Yeah, at first I thought it was quantum programming. Because a friend of mine in the early meditations, the friend that was teaching me the multidimensional ones, she had said, "Oh, Deborah, you have this, high-level programmer aspect of you," and I didn't understand. For me, the programmer was the computer guy. I was like, so I had nowhere to. I had no dots to connect there. I had no framework yet, right? But the more I did the meditations, I start going out and out and out. And now suddenly I've got the framework. I get it. I understand it. And now I realize it's the light codes. We're working with the ones and zeros, that binary system of light. And it really does, it's your synapses, your neural pathways and the networks that we're working with.
Fascinating. Okay, so then if that's the case, then how do you feel about all the solar codes hitting the planet? Because I feel them. I see the effect of them when I'm reading people, and doing chakra readings. And I'm just amazed at the light codes that are hitting us. And I know that a lot of people get really tired, when the light hits them, and it takes a lot of time to integrate. There's often a period where they have to work with the densities in their own body, and they've got to kind of purge those off. So do you see the same thing happening when you're doing this?
Oh, for sure. Because we're all kind of like a stream. That river of life flows through us. Each person's going to have their own dams, we'll say, whatever you dams you back, right? It's kind of like we're experiencing where we've denied the light within us. So if those light codes are hitting them hard, let's face it, some people are flat on their backs or dealing with balance issues or their whatever congestion. Sometimes it comes through and it's really doing work and it's expansive. So they call them ascension symptoms, but it's just shadow collapsing. It's trying to, we're trying to release those dams, so your inner systems, those networks, those, your team is doing that to allow the codes to find more grace. The thing with the codes, and I know this is kind of like lightning. Electricity is always going to find the path of least resistance. If you're a lightning rod for divine light and cleared your field, it's going to come down beautifully. But if you've got all these little mini antennas kind of sticking out, because you're damming it here, damming it there, it's not going to come through as graceful. So what we really want to do is get really clean. Because your crystalline body is kind of like a diamond. You've got diamonds that have inclusions in them, right? And they're going to try to look through them. You don't have the clarity, right? So life in our bodies are a lot like that. We want to get to our clearest crystalline form and our expression. So that light's going to flow. It's going to do its thing. And you just have to kind of be graceful about it, see it. I always say, just love whatever comes up, love that, I think. So
I think that's a good way to do it too, because if you're rejecting everything, it's not really helping you. The resistance is the resistance. It's like, you're able to do this to yourself, obviously, right? Like, do you find your own blocks? Do you get visions with them, or do you just get the sense of, oh, this is heavy, this is dense?
I have to say, I think that future version of me, or that soul of mine, knew that I wasn't going to be good with seeing, because I think I'd hang on to the story. Give somebody a backstory or saying you're clearing this past life or something. If the person doesn't know how to let go of the story, it's kind of like the white elephant in the room. They can keep being aware of it. Something will come up in their life and they might chalk it up to that story. Now they've reattached and brought it back into their experience. So sometimes it's really good to not be too dialed into the stories of it. You've got to get your mind out of the way, just allow it. And so now when something comes through, it's kind of, I might experience it as, I would say it's an echo. I might get a whisper of what it is, but it just doesn't matter. Again, it doesn't matter. Literally, we're letting go of the matter of it, right?
Right.
We're going to release it. We're going to try to transform it because we are trying to activate more of our light bodies. So the matter, the stuff that we attach to, is going to let go. So yeah, it's just allowing it to move through you, breathe through it, let it go. So it's vague for me, and I'm intentional a bit about that, because
Yeah.
I'm really happy though when I get the feedback from other people.
You must
Yeah,
recognize, right, that it's working or that they're feeling something move through them or something along that.
yeah. I get an inkling of where I'm at and what I'm doing, and then they go explain. But where they're feeling it and how they're feeling it, it's not going to be the exact same for me because we don't know how many lifetimes they've had experiencing that energy this way. Like we've
Yeah,
all been victims, we've all been oppressors, we've all been, right, rich, poor, so the experience of the energy in every lifetime has made us a beautiful, unique configuration. That's your signature. So how that person's signature is going to interpret the energy, it's not going to be identical to mine. I just like hearing their validation because they're cognizing the experience as real.
right.
And what does it take for you to go, this is real, this is happening? For some people, it is the pictures, right? For me, the physicality did it. So now I know it's real, it's bigger than me. Because you don't want to walk away from a session and then kind of go, oh, that was nice, but I'm not sure what happened.
Right.
You have to walk away and know you're changed. Walk away and live as though you're changed, as though, hey, I got my light body activated there, right? And I just cleared my lineage. And then you're gonna walk away, even if you just got tiny little nudges here or there, or you got a glimpse of yourself as a child, and if she's happy, whatever it is, make that real. We're telling new stories. We're in the process of writing this new script, and so all these processes assist us in writing the new script. They give us the permissions, the energy's there, the light's there. So now I don't get the stories anymore that show up with old stuff.
No kidding. Like if it's a past life.
A friend of mine that I code with, and she's in London, about a month ago, we leave each other voicemails once in a while. Oh, thinking of you. Hey, let's connect. And so she had got back to me. She's talking. She goes into light language. And so right away, she goes, oh, don't mind me. You've got a blockage on your left shoulder, and I'm just going to clear it for you. And she's, doing all this stuff. And then she keeps going back and forth because it's just coming out organically, the same way that my hands will code. She's just doing this. And then all of a sudden at the very end, she's like, she continues the conversation that her and I were having. And that was it. She had no idea how interesting her timing was on that. I had been processing, holding huge light. I'm working with that Christ grid, and it was coming in, and I kept getting tight on this one side. And she said, so she experienced it as I had my arm ripped off in a lifetime for having this gift. But the crazy thing is, we don't know how many lifetimes where I was condemned, we'll say, or this soul for having this. What if all the energies of that merged, and that's how she consolidated her interpretation of the energy. So it might have been 20 different stories around being persecuted for coding Christed light, but it showed up for hers as this arm being ripped off. So now I don't get too personal about a timeline like that. Do you know what I mean? I go, thank you for that metaphor. I get it. I understand. I got it. And that's kind of what it felt like, and I let it go. But I don't reattach to the story. So that's why I always recommend to people not start speaking in metaphors and themes, and no, this is just how the theme of the energy is showing up for me. Even though it might seem like a particular dialed in moment, story, I'm able to do my own coding, but we all have blind spots. I know I called that in through her. When you're in this unity conscious, this collective state, you're available for other people to show up as your angels, right?
Correct.
Whereas some people will say, oh no, I have to go this alone. I don't trust others, blah, blah, blah. Well, no, unity consciousness is knowing they're showing up for you in divine timing, bringing you exactly what you need in that moment, right? And I was available for it. So
yeah, and I've seen it in similar ways too, where I just approach every day with the thought that God's source can't just materialize in front of me and tell me what I need to do, but God's source can work through the mouths and the actions of any human on this planet, or any animal, or any living life force. So, it's my job to keep my eyes open to see who is communicating with me and what are they trying to tell me. So if I hear the same message 3 times, I know that that's something that maybe I didn't get on my own time and the external world needed to give me. A brief thought that I had about something that needs to shift, or something understandably to approach. So yeah, I like your use of the collective, because I do feel like a lot of us are on the same vibe, we're on the same wavelength, and we're givers. A lot of us are just pure givers, and a lot of us just need to be given to. And it's
Yeah.
yeah, so it's really lovely that you figured this out. So how do you work with it day to day? You mentioned you do the meditation groups. Are you still building those groups?
The old groups that we did, they were in person. And then when I've moved down south, and it's a beautiful, peaceful place by the lake. And I now know why I was guided to the house that I'm in. I'm on this hillside that's very magnetic. I wondered why I was here. I knew it was my house even long before we bought it. I was looking at it. I projected my body there, and I'm like, whoa! It was so spacious. I knew I was living in this house, and my husband was going through the real estate deals, trying to buy it. And at one point I was kind of going, oh, he's going to lowball them. I know he's going to lose us this house. And I go into meditation and I went, oh, it doesn't really matter. It's my house.
Hmm.
So I had to let go of how it showed up. But anyways, I went and visited my sister, and this is how the collective works. And I brought a rock from my neighborhood. It was this beautiful kind of purpley, one of the hillside rocks. And then I brought her a heart rock that I'd found. And we love rocks. My sister and I collect rocks. But I put these rocks on her island, and she had a bunch of other rocks sitting there. And her friend, who happened to be a shaman, she didn't tell me he was visiting because she wanted me to meet him. And she thought, oh, it's going to be really interesting to see these two meet. So he walks in the door, doesn't see me. I'm sitting in the living room, walks right over to my rock on my hillside, and he grabs it and he goes, oh, Tanya, this is my rock. And she goes, oh, why is that your rock, John? And he goes, can't you feel the magnetics on this? So I got my answer of why I'm on this hillside. Because of what I'm bringing through, those light codes, I have to be able to bring them in. It's a level up of grid work for me. So I went, okay, I got it. So I got my answer there. So, honestly, I keep getting spoon fed. Every time I have a question around, okay, what's this about? What's this about? And it keeps coming in. And that in itself is a beautiful program. I always tell people, if you get a really nice answer, just go into thank your team and yep, this or better. And then so that becomes your new program of answers come to me easily, with grace and ease.
Well, yeah, I mean, I know that was a big part of my own development, because I used to always have these really cool, miraculous things happen, lots of kismet, lots of divine timing. And, I always was very optimistic naturally. So I would expect good things to happen. And then they did. I was open to them. Show me what you got. And I always knew too, I always had a really good idea that my exalted self, my higher being, my higher self was aware of everything that I could be in this life. So if there was anything that I doubted, I could just go, well, my higher self knows more than I do. Why would I get in the way of that? It's like, I'm just going to trust the energy that comes in and go with the flow. I didn't have to have as much of an action plan. I needed to have a show up and be present plan, and keep your eyes open for what's trying to change around you and what's trying to pull you up out of yourself. So I had a very innate, very personal, quiet relationship with that kind of energy for decades. And now I use it even more, but it's really basically, I guess, like a go with the flow. But I think it's just amazing. I mean, when I see the light codes, I don't know that I see them hitting me. I can feel them hitting me because I'll need 12 hours sleep when I could have gotten away with 5 normally or whatever. So I know my body goes through a lot. And I know that I often be kind of emotional when things are moving through me because I'm reliving some of the densities that need to clear. So I feel it move up around me. Learn not to get too disappointed if I'm in a down slope a little bit, because I know that that's part of how the light works. The light activates and challenges all the things that aren't of the light in order to leave. At least that's how it looks like to me. So I just think it's amazing that you can do it with such consciousness and with such awareness, and be able to just turn off the ego and get into that higher part of your mind.
Well, it's funny. I'm going to share a story that happened early on. We were moving to this new house. My husband was down, in this new town. It's a couple hours away from where we moved from. And he would come back to visit me. He was renovating, and he'd come back and visit me. And I had started coding about 2 weeks before he went down. And it's no coincidence. That's the universe set that up. So I had 5 months living by myself, So you can imagine how many times I was meditating and having fun because this is a new gift. But he came up and he visited me one day. I think he'd hurt his back or something because he was doing Reynolds by himself. And so he was laying beside me and he said, "Why don't you code for me?" Because he could tell when I did coding for him,
Whoa.
it was buoyant. He just felt he had no framework for it. He could feel the lightness of it. So he always felt good. And so he came and laid down beside me. And whenever I started coding, he would be put to sleep. I think his team would go, "Yep, Theta, we're out," so that we could do the deeper work. But I felt, oh, he needs a little bit more light there. So I'm in this coding session, but in my mind, it wasn't a pure intention. This is really interesting. So this is my early days. And I was sweating, like I was coding, and it was literally, I was like a conductor, but it was like heavy. It was like, you know what I mean? It was like the Beethoven's kind of like, duh, 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 you know what I mean? I was doing all this stuff, and it was really heavy and dense. And anyways, I thought, wow, we did some really big work, and I was really excited. Anyways, I woke up the next morning, and I popped a blood vessel in my eye.
No kidding.
And I realized, okay, that's telling me you can't force your, like I was energetically, my intention was trying to move through him, and I was meeting resistance. And I had to go, okay, gotta honor free will here. Even though I want him along with me on my journey, I realize now his journey is actually to hold the opposite pole so I can go up. And again, I'm not making him a bad person, but he's really he's in the physical world. He works with wood. He's a beautiful soul that chose to come in and teach me through what he's reflecting and mirroring to me. So I had to get out of my way. So he taught me how to literally surrender, and I'm now no longer even doing any projection when I sit with somebody in code. So now when those light codes, like you're talking about the solar flares and everything coming in, I don't even steer them anymore. Because it's like that bloodshot eye. I don't even want to try to force them to go anywhere. There's a divine intelligence there that's so much bigger than us. And you just allow and let go and surrender and lay back and breathe it in. Like there were times where my hands literally were doing Greek keys. It took me probably to go from one side to the other side in these Greek keys, maybe 10 minutes. And it was because my hands, it's hard to explain it, but it's like goosebumps. It comes from inside, and then there's like a magnet pulling them. There's an invisible string pulling them, and it's inside and outside. It's really strange. So my hands are doing all this stuff, and again, when I code, and you've seen it, right? It's my hands are flying and they're doing it, but this was a really slow Greek key, and I had to, go, thank you for these divine attunements, for these divine upgrades, these optimizations. I kept using language to keep me in it. It didn't change what my hands did in any way, shape, or form. It was still divine light and love coming through. Little Deborah wasn't sure. I was calling it in, going, okay, this is my intention. Well, it's still being done exactly the same way. So now I get it. Kind of like, when people think they have to smudge this and do that, light this candle, go here, do this. It's like, these are just your little intentions and permissions. You don't have to do that. You just have to walk in the room with your light. You know what I mean?
Exactly, and command it, allow it. It's like living in a state of allowance will let these things work around you. And I wanted to go back to something you said about how with your husband, you forced it a little bit and then you realized you had to back off. I had something similar when I was first trained in energy work and healing, and people, even where I was taught, they'd be like, oh, would you like a healing today? Would you like a chakra balancing? And I'd be like, yeah, sure, why not? So when I went out and I started doing work on other people, of course I was like, yes, everybody wants their chakras balanced. And then I was in a healing with somebody, and I realized that some spirit guide of this person that I was working on had literally tent pegged part of their chakra. I think it was their solar plexus, where there were literal lines I could see, and they tent pegged it down to the earth. And they literally said, don't you dare mess with our good work. And it made me realize, oh my God. And then that just opened up a whole other level of awareness for me. Every time I did a healing after that, I was like, oh my God, I can't believe I didn't see that sooner. So from every healing after that, it was a matter of, it's not me doing the healing. It's the body telling me what needs to heal. And it's the guides who are in charge of the energetics, right? Like we're not, I would debate that we're totally in charge of our own energetics. I believe that we're not the queen bee, we're the worker bees. I would just work with whoever the healer beings were. And I started to realize it's not that the chakras are out of balance. It's that they're working towards the new balance because we're constantly having to accept new light, let all the darkness and the densities move out of us. So, to go and balance every single chakra, great. That's going to hold for about 2 seconds. And then you're just going to snap and you're not going to feel balanced at all. So I was much more prepared to do the work after that. And the healings that I was doing were way more profound because they worked with the energy in the direction it was actually going. It worked with the energy in the way it needed to go. I wasn't going in with a template and doing cookie cutter work with everybody. I was like, here's how the energy's hitting you. Your throat chakra dominant because of this. Your solar plexus is shut off because of that. This is okay. It'll come back. And I was able to get the timeline information on, when the solar plexus was going to change, when the heart was going to finish what it was doing. So it ended up being so much more helpful for my clients because innately they would know if they had a throat chakra blockage. They knew if their throat wasn't working properly or their heart was shut down. So, we could bring consciousness to them and give them the willingness to work with the energy that was available to them. There's no wrong answers. There's no way you can do any of this wrong as long as you're addressing the energy that needs to move. And I also noticed if anything about a past life came up, it was because there was something in the here and now that was relevant, and the whole theme from all the other lifetimes was clearing all at once. So maybe they got into a relationship and they were rejected or betrayed and they had to deal with that energy. And then all the other lifetimes where there might have been similar themes, they just came in like a brat pack ready to rock, So it was really quite enlightening to see we can't template healing. We cannot cookie cutter the individualized approach. We just have to, or we have to allow it to be an individualized approach.
And their spirit is still guiding it. So even whatever pictures you're getting, if you're connecting to their higher self and spirit, it's all going to be divine. It's all going to be there. It's their universal feedback that they've called for. So you're going to give them that. That gift that, like I said, the spoon feeding that we need from somebody, it's going to come in the divine timing. And and even if it's just so that they could go, yeah, I'm still hanging on to the energy of that story. You know what I mean? Even if that's all you're giving them and they're going, yeah, shit, I got to let that go, right? Like I had something happen the other day where I was told that there was still some projections on me that I was allowing. And I realized, we care too much about what they think about us. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. And so now their projections, even the word healer, right? There's a lot of us that kind of go, oh, okay, that word, I don't really like the word, you know what I mean? And it's gotten, bad and good and it's all mixed up. It's become this whole toxic soup now. At the end, the whole word, it's got a vibrational, weirdness to it. It's just facilitators of the healing. That's all we are. It's still on the other person of what they're available for. So I realized with my husband laying there, he wasn't wanting the level of work that I was trying to do.
Correct. Yeah.
Right? He was just coming there for we'll call it the fluffy bubble, the good vibes, right? And he falls asleep. So he, it was on me. That was my ego wanting to give him a little bit more.
So how do people find you then? Are you advertising for this and everything yet, or?
Well, so far it's been word of mouth. A lot of people that were part of my meditation groups or the people I've met here and people like yourselves. And I've got these little networks of people that I get recommendations through them. I'm ready to now kind of go, I'm going to be seen. So some of my meditations are going to be showing up. My website is www.divineion.com. And and we are working with Divine Ions. That's what it is. And we're bringing, the spins, your spin on it. Is it positive or negative? And we're going to bring it back to 0 point. That's all the practice is. I work with a Mobius strip, which has got the feminine and the masculine, and it's both sides, right? And if you're in a distortion over here, you're forcing the story out in this distortion. And I always say you've got to face your creation. Anyways, bring it back to 0 point. So I am available. Thank you for being part of that.
It's so fascinating. I think it's amazing. Okay, and I want to ask you, when you did start coding a little moment ago, earlier, was that
Yeah.
coding for you or was that coding for me or what was that?
I actually don't know. It's often going to be whoever's listening
Mm-hmm.
is part of the co-creation. So there's kind of it's like this zeitgeist, the now moment. What needs to come through in the now moment, and it's going to come through again. We're all lightning rods for different. It's going to be experienced differently too, right? Which is quite
Yes.
interesting. So I just trust when I go into that space. So whatever needs to come through is going to come through. Thing is, I have to say though, is it's not always nice and short. It may be.
Right.
Right? I mean, on my team, economy and optimization would be really nice.
Not everybody can handle that, you know? Some people need a slow route.
If the light codes are coming in and they have to come through a certain ways for some people, and it takes a little bit more, I can't steer that. Again, that's that I've stopped steering. I learned my lesson
Mhm.
and I just allow. So,
I'd love to ask if do you think that there are any codes that might want to come through
oh
now?
gosh, there's always codes. I could be doing this all day long. There's an aspect of me that goes, yep, let's just sit for hours and code.
What's the question I want to ask you? So then you must most of the time feel pretty caught up. I mean, in a way, like you wouldn't feel like you're behind the 8 ball, would you? Like you would kind of just feel like, okay, good, I can do whatever I need to now because I'm not stuck in the past.
Yeah, that's an interesting thing that you said that, because what I know I'm meant to do, I'm part of writing the new script. What's coming up is all the old scripts, right? And we've got the Bible, how many people interacted with that put that in the field, right?
Right.
And we see the scripts. I mean, Beam Me Up Scotty with Star Trek, that was a script. We love that script, but we all interacted with the energy of it. The big ones, the bigger ones, like those religious books, those are the ones that are coming up right now, because it's the curtain call, it's the big crescendo, the energy's going, yeah, how do you like me now? And it's like all the cast of characters are all taking their bow. We created all these people through this momentum of energy, right? And I mean, we all did it. There's nobody that, gets a pass from this. Oh, I didn't create him. No, you were part of it too. So that's all coming up. But the thing is some of us that have already seen that, recognized it, acknowledged it, went, okay, yep, now, and I'm free, I can let go. And this is what I do in my meditations. I keep walking, I step into that new part, and it's going to unravel us as we step, the path unfolds kind of thing. It has to follow something. So we've got to give it the intention. So my playground is, how do I intend that new piece to look like? So I'm really practicing being unlimited. I'm really playing with this space of maybe we will be floating. Maybe we will be telepathic. Maybe we will have this, free energy. That's a given. You know what I mean? That kind of thing. So
Yeah.
I'm playing in this. It's because that's that imagination from the art dealer version of me that can really play in these unlimited spaces. So me with the scripting, whenever I do coding and I ask to make sure that, how I call it in is I always ask for the highest of the highest of the highest. And if I've got a client in front of me, I usually say, and may these codes assist in the person in walking on their highest timeline. If their highest timeline has some magic in it, how is that? All these codes come together and there's going to be this, like attracts like in the field. It may not show up perfectly for them, but the theme will show up. And we know it's going to be creative, it's going to be peaceful and freedom and bliss and joy and probably laughter. So we get to choose all these sorts of things. So that's how we're going to unfold this new, is what's getting our currency, and again, what the codes are coming through and where we're going to direct them.
So do you want to take a look at me and see what you can code, or are you able to do that from
Yeah,
a
yeah,
distance?
yeah. So what?
It'd be fun. I mean, I'm in. I'm up for the upgrade.
Okay. I go into my heart, and then I expand my heart field. And then I just breathe it down to Gaia. So I set up my pillar. So we have this beautiful divine pillar of light. I merge the energy with Gaia and I call it up, and we merge it to source. And we've got our beautiful pillar flowing through us of this divine love and light. Now I'm going to call in our guides and our angels and the archangels and the ascended masters and the karmic board, our ascension councils, and our God presences. And I ask that we work in harmonious group consciousness, that only the highest of the highest of the highest is shown here today. And I ask that the appropriate temples be anchored and activated in the most appropriate ways in our field. And I ask that Ellie Marie's higher self and my higher self work together and co-create whatever codes are in the highest for Ellie at this time. If there's anything coming through that you would like to share, it won't throw me off.
Oh yeah, like I could feel it in my heart immediately, like
Okay,
the tears of connection,
yeah,
Amazing. And I
because
had quite a back ache before you started, and it is completely gone.
oh, good.
Wow. Oh.
May all this energy work integrate with grace, ease, light, love, and divine empowerment. May we share all this work into the heart and core of Gaia to be recorded and saved and available for all those who are on their path and ready to activate them. Thank you to all the teams. Thank you to all the temples. Thank you to all of our guides and angels. Thank you to our souls and our God presences, our spirits. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Yeah, that feels complete to me.
That was amazing.
Aw.
Oof. Wow. That was amazing. I started to see these hands, of some of the divine beings. Like I can feel somebody right behind me going, it's okay, let it go. Like it was like there's some energetic leak at the back of my throat chakra or something, and I've been feeling it all day. I didn't know what it was. It was just really painful. And it just started to move. And you probably didn't see me, but I started to move through some of this stuff on my own. And I've been like, processing these tears that are just moving through me, as well as, I just felt like it was almost like this apprehension came over me, like, oh, uh-oh, I'm going to grow right now, And I just had to keep breathing it in and breathing it in and breathing it in. So it was like I could feel my heart literally expanding through my back, trying to get it all. Like I knew that I needed to just be with this, in the moment and to receive. Wow, that was amazing. Oh,
You
gosh.
know,
Oof.
that was your ascension chakra. And it was very interesting because I knew when we were at your ascension chakra, it was like, in fact, I never say anything because I can't validate for sure, right? But there were hands, but they were like this.
Yeah.
And they were really doing opening big work back there. And then the interesting thing that you're talking about, the back of the heart,
Oh,
that's where you think about how many lifetimes you've had your gift. And you start shutting things down, right? Because it's not safe, right? It's not, so anyways, I don't want to activate this again for you because you are free, girl.
amazing. Oh
Right?
my God.
So yeah, so that was big
And you
work.
didn't see it either, but I had to keep moving, right? Like I had to keep,
Yeah,
it was almost like, okay. And I thought, oh, is this part of the balance between the feminine and the masculine? Is this like,
yes, it is.
mid-brain movement? What is that? I just knew I had to do it,
Yeah. So that's interesting. So
Ah,
you're already starting to do, so that's how so this is the funny thing. This is how I understand the steering, but again, it's not Deborah steering, right? But the steering comes through I know my hands do things. I know my breath does things. I'm sometimes hunched right over. My head gets pushed way down when I'm bringing it into the earth. But the head back and forth, sometimes it felt like a ticker tape. And then one time I'm in a meditation and my team wanted me I got the words metronome.
okay.
And it was like a metronome is a musical timer.
Yes, exactly. Keeps the
Yeah,
beats.
right? So it's funny, but I don't know because I don't have that language. I can't tell people what I'm doing. I just know it's like, trust me, this is divine. So
Oh,
I love coding with people that are on your level of cognition, because
that
it's
was
beautiful.
amazing.
Yeah.
Oh
And
my,
it's validating, this is how the collective is going to be able to assist each other, right, in our ascension, because this is where we're going. We're going to go to a place where, our old back doors, like, yeah, they're not going to open themselves. So we have to keep, taking these steps, right?
and that's what I see too when I'm doing chakra readings on people. I'll see the back of a chakra open or I'll see it hammered shut, whatever is going on, and I'll just be amazed because we release the past through the back of the chakras, right? So
Yeah.
go back, would you mind, and just explain a little bit more about the ascension chakra? Why, like if it's back in here, why is it sharing space with the throat chakra? Do you know anything about that? Have
It's
they
like
told
the
you?
mouth of God. It's like when we were blown into, you know what I mean? First, it's like it's again, I can't explain beyond that because I don't have the team. I just know from all the other readings that I've done on it, and I opened somebody's ascension chakra toning one day. I
Wow.
was in my art gallery before I was doing the coding, and I was just learning to tone. And I have to tell you, I think I told you the story where, when I was a kid, my mom said we couldn't sing, and next thing you know, and when I was starting to meditate, I learned about tones, and I thought, I'm going to clear my chakras with these tones, right? And so I would make the sounds for each chakra, but I did it in my gallery, and it was a concrete space, and it was very echoey. So it sounded kind of neat. And when I did it and projected it enough, it came back and it was really an interesting space. So I didn't hate my voice at that point. I was just working with it. But then it got better and better and better. And I was kind of like, oh, actually, this is not bad. So this friend of mine came in one time and we got chatting. And I think he was sang in a choir or something. Or anyways, however the conversations went. And I ended up toning. And it was crazy on, full on. He was getting a big opening back there. But he also sang too, which is very interesting. So
Okay.
that's interesting that you can sing, right?
Yeah,
That's
I sing
interesting.
a lot. Yeah, I sing a lot. I sing more now than I have in years.
Yeah. So there's probably something to being able to, again, get through.
Mm-hmm.
Not everybody is clear enough. There probably took a bit of
Yeah.
to be able to get that, right? Yeah. Well, I'm glad. Thank you for sharing too, because that's part of my validation in that it is something, right? That is.
Yeah. And I mean, it was almost like I can feel, God, how would I even describe it inside my body right now? It just feels warmer. It just feels like, oh, okay. It feels like every part of me just internally just got massaged and the blood flow is back.
I think the spinning, I think everything's now spinning in a balanced way now. And at one point, I felt like I was doing the goddess,
Oof.
and I was holding my arms like this, and I could feel it, and I went, "Oh, she's got the goddess going now," right? It
Yeah.
was really, because you've got a goddess archetype. We all do. She's now on. She's activated. She's running. You have to go. Hey, I have merged with my goddess now.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? And it's not just permission. This is, I'm on a new timeline,
Mm-hmm.
right? I've got this. Hey, whew, wow, it feels good here. And everything you do, chalk it up to that new timeline now.
Mm-hmm.
Because everything, because now all the currency is going to go new timeline, new timeline. You know what I mean? So it's like the old timeline doesn't exist. So we really don't want that. We're going to call forward that energy, and we don't even want to give it any extra. So where that old timeline gets recreated is, I call them expectations. If
Mm-hmm.
you have certain, let's say a partner in your life, right? My husband or something, or, and I have an expectation of him walking the door and saying a certain thing, or, all the news, this happened today in the news. Oh my God, he's going to do this. Da, 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 da. That's an expectation. That's an old story. And that's me pulling in the old energy, right? So how can I be on the new timeline? Like, which one am I feeding more, right? So we really do have to, that's the practice. And you know this, but it's,
That's true.
yeah, it's just us going, okay, how does this new me show up? How
Mm-hmm.
does this make me look? Maybe I have permission to sit on the beach today. And
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure that's what it is. I mean, as an art dealer, I used to see a lot of abstracts, and I could get the essence of what the artist's language was coming through. So connecting on the beach, you're getting the bigger artist, the Mother Gaia's language,
Mm-hmm.
right? She's showing you things.
So thank you. It was amazing. I mean, what an amazing thing. And who knows? I guess if you're coding I mean, somebody who could watch this could be affected by it, right? It's the idea.
Oh gosh, yes, because we are all quantum entangled. You got a healing that got put in the field. They're going to receive it in the way they can receive it. So I asked for it to be recorded. So I'm a record keeper that way. So I rounded it in and I asked for it to be recorded. And the interesting thing is, so everybody has access to what you just healed. So you're holding a pretty big template with what you can do. That healing is now available multidimensionally. So it is, every time we do something like this, it is beautiful. There's no stepping back from the fact that it got done. We're each doing our little bit. Our puzzle pieces are all working the key.
Go, girl, you got this.
It's so funny because without the validation piece, I'm not doing anything to anybody. I'm just the vessel. It's coming through me. So that permission to be the vessel, you gave me extra permission to be that. I did it in my private practice where that doubt is kind of still sitting in your shoulder a little bit. Even though I was like 90% in, this is real. Oh my gosh, I'm stretching, my whole shoulders are touching, and I'm contorted, I'm doing this, I'm doing all these crazy things. That little bit of doubt is going, are we sure this is good? But then I'm kind of going, yeah, but does the dark have light codes? I'm having this argument, with this little voice.
So cute.
We all kind of validate each other. It's such a beautiful thing. And when we're available for it, it can be, that's the magic. It feels like go time. That's what I trust. I trust.
Wow, I really love talking to you. So thank you so much for coming and sharing your wisdom and sharing your words and your technique. Power to you. I will endorse that for you any day of the week.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
The universe shows us the value of our gifts. Yeah, I just trust now.
That's amazing. Thank you so much. I can't believe what moved through me. I was like, woo, I'm going to go do something now with a movement.